I've been trying to follow my gut a little bit more lately. So when the idea to go through this database of drawings and kind of talk about what I like about them and what I think is admirable about them, I decided why not? Let's just do it. So I created, I think it was last year, I created this database of drawings that I took from the collection of at the Met. And so I want to kind of go through some of them. There's a lot of drawings in here, master drawings. Why don't we start with this one, which is, I think it's Delacroix, or is it Delacroix? I think Delacroix, Eugene Delacroix. I actually have his journals that I've been shifting through, and they're really interesting. Okay, so this drawing is it's pretty intense, actually. Like the face of the horse looks very distressed. But what I find quite remarkable is just the simplicity of the lines, the way Eugene does these beautiful strokes here to emphasize the planes of this three-dimensional horse. Because you have to remember that with drawing, it's like you're taking the constraints of a 2D surface and creating the illusion that there is something more to that. So this is a really cool drawing, and it was made in 1825. Cool. There's another one in here that I'm floored by this. This drawing was made in graphite, and I just want you to take a look at this. This has soul. This has a spirit. This feels like this is next level. And I think it's achieved not just because of its beautiful shading and its rendering of light. It's achieved. This person has done their homework when it comes to anatomy. Take a look at the line here, just the outline of the face. Notice how it sort of plays, right? It's kind of like, and that's part of what that's what makes drawing like feel alive. It's those, I don't know if the word is like something with like modulation. I don't know what the word is exactly, but it's really cool. I want to show you this drawing because it's really interesting. This one is standing St. John the Baptist with the lamb. Okay, what's really cool about this drawing is that the artist left behind the grid. So these little squares that you see here are these like, it's basically the way things are proportioned out. So usually what happens is it's drawn in like a small scale piece of paper, and then the grid is overlaid on top, and then now that you have a grid on top of the drawing, you're able to then enlarge that drawing or bring it somewhere else. So this is by Manet, and this is a really interesting drawing because it's a drawing of a cat, and it looks like a bunch of scribbles, but they're done so masterfully. If you notice, like these lines are going in this direction, and then these lines are going in other directions, you see here, and so that creates an illusion of space. And notice the contrast between these dark lines and these light lines. And again, remember what I said before about the changes in form. So these lines here, it's like high, low, high, low, high, low. And so that's what brings life. I read somewhere that when a line goes in like this, it indicates sort of like death. So with death, things kind of come in, they collapse. But with life, things bulge out. And so when you have life, you have a mix of both that those bulges and then those dips, and that's what gives a drawing its vitality. I absolutely love Lautrec and the work that he did. It's just, I mean, if you take a look at this drawing, simple lines. This was probably a study, something to prepare for something bigger, and you can just see the level of understanding that Lautrec was handling at this point in his career. Because, and the reason you can tell is because look how confidently these lines are put down. Look how much like how clear everything is in terms of proportions. Like the proportions are unreal. Like these horses are just like they're perfectly done. But you notice that there is an economy in the lines that he's using here. He's not using that many lines. He's using a few lines, but he does an amazing job of putting down this quick gesture drawing, probably as a preparation for something else, and it's pretty remarkable. 1881 this drawing was made in. Very, very cool. And then I love looking at Vincent van Gogh's earlier stuff. I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to pronounce it the way most people do. So this drawing is pretty cool. Really what I wanted to do with this database was to create something that people could go through and get an appreciation of drawing, because the Met has a ton of drawings in their collection, and it's sometimes cool to go through these without having to comb through their thousands of drawings. I went in there and combed through their collection and really just started to extract what I thought was worth my study. This is another really cool one. I love this drawing because it's a very simple. It looks simple, but it really just shows the artist's confidence and previous training, because these simple lines and their proportions, the relationship between like the head and the body, and notice this again, this curve here, that's all coming from putting in the reps. And then something like this, for example, it's just like really, really cool to see the early sort of preliminary sketches that an artist would make in preparation for a larger work. It's just a bunch of gesture lines, and it just looks alive. If you see the foreshortening of the arm here, the person sort of looking back into this figure holding a child, and there's just so much energy going on here. It's really, I mean, this is the goal. This is where we're heading. This is what we want to do. Then this one is also really, really cool. Just, I think like the thing that I find most fascinating about drawings like this, portrait drawings, it's not so much that they look real or lifelike. What I find quite remarkable, and I think this one is a good example, but I also have another good example. This one by Jean-Auguste Ang. All right, this one, for example, notice that it captures life. The pencil, he captured life, and that's the thing that you can get with a camera, but when an artist is able to put it down with pencil, there's something about it. I don't have the terminology for it, but it's special. it really is something special. The way you notice it is through the shading and the simple lines, but there was a lot of preparation that went on before he was able to do something like this. And here's another example where you can start to see the grid again coming into play. Degas has one here too. This one's from 1873, and you can start to see the squares here, and the squares are, the grid is really to help create relationships between the shapes that he's drawing, or really like part of the drawing process that you don't normally get to see, because the drawings are typically finalized before you see those things. This one is also just, so there was a kind of a tension between the Romantics and the people who were Romantics were like Eugene Delacroix and Charles Baudelaire. Like those guys were the Romantics, and then the classical folks that the classical side of things were people like Jean-Auguste Ong. And Baudelaire was like, he was always like kind of diminishing, I guess, Ong's work, because Ong kind of represented like the past and kind of like what used to be. But I don't think he gets enough credit for his pencil drawings and his remarkable just attention to detail and ability to bring life into his pencil drawings. Anyway, the link for the database in my description for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.